Confidence isn't born. It's forged. In the fire of our doubts and the crucible of our challenges. For too long, you've been told that confidence is something you either have or you don't, a magical quality gifted to a chosen few. That is a lie. It's a convenient fiction that keeps you passive and waiting for a feeling that will never arrive on its own. My name is Cassian. For 30 years, I navigated the brutal landscape of the tech industry, building companies from the ground up. I achieved the success I was supposed to want, yet I was ruled by anxiety and a deep-seated feeling of being an imposter, perpetually waiting for the floor to collapse. My own crucible, a burnout that cost me nearly everything, forced me to look beyond the shallow world of external validation and into the timeless operating principles of the mind. Today, we are not going to talk about fleeting motivation or positive thinking platitudes. We are going to architect your mindset. I will give you 5 iron methods, 5 proven blueprints for building unshakable, competence-based confidence from the inside out. This isn't about what to think, it's about how to think. Prepare to go to work. We begin with the bedrock, the foundation upon which any lasting confidence must be built. Competence. You cannot trick your mind into believing you are capable. You must provide it with proof. The modern world tells you to fake it till you make it. I am telling you to make it so you never have to fake it. Competence stacking is the systematic process of building skill upon skill, creating an undeniable track record of your own ability. Each skill is a block of iron stacked together. They form the impenetrable walls of your inner citadel. Confidence is simply the reputation you have with yourself. When you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can learn, adapt, and execute, you begin to trust yourself. This trust is the essence of genuine self-belief. I remember a young man I mentored years ago. Let's call him David. He was brilliant, a sharp analyst, but he was terrified of presenting his findings to senior leadership. This fear was capping his career. His confidence problem wasn't a personality flaw, it was a skill deficit. So, we ignored the feeling of fear and focused on stacking competence. We broke down public speaking into its smallest components. The first week, his only task was to master his vocal tone. He practiced by reading passages from books aloud, recording himself, focusing on pace and eliminating filler words like and ah. That was the first stack. The next week, we worked on body language, maintaining eye contact using gestures that reinforced his points. The stack after that was structuring a compelling narrative. He didn't just present data, he learned to tell a story with it. Within 3 months, David wasn't just giving presentations, he was commanding the room. His confidence didn't come from a motivational poster. It came from the irrefutable evidence of his own hard-won skill. He had stacked his competencies one by one until the sheer weight of his ability crushed his fear. Think of it in your own life. Perhaps you want to be a better negotiator. Don't just walk into a high-stakes deal. Stack the micro-skills first. Spend a week just studying negotiation frameworks. Then, practice in low-stakes environments. Negotiate with your cable company, haggle at a flea market. Then, practice active listening, learning to identify the other party's true needs. Each small victory, each piece of knowledge applied, is another layer of armor. This principle is rooted in the Stoic focus on action within your control. You cannot control whether you feel confident before a difficult task. That feeling is an external, a phantom. But you can, as Epictetus would remind us, control your preparations. You can control the hours you put in, the skills you acquire, the practice you undertake. True confidence is the quiet byproduct of deliberate, focused effort. It's not the loud roar of ego, but the silent hum of a well-honed machine. So, I ask you, what is the one skill that, if you mastered it, would fundamentally change your career or your life? Now, break it down. What is the smallest possible piece of that skill you can master this week? Start there. Lay the first block. The second method is about forging resilience. A mind that has only known comfort is a brittle thing. It shatters at the first sign of pressure. To build an iron mind, you must intentionally introduce stress and voluntary hardship into your life. You must face challenges on your own terms before life forces them upon you. I call this creating your challenge protocols. This is the act of deliberately and systematically stepping outside your comfort zone to expand its boundaries. Most people live their lives in a state of avoidance. They avoid the difficult conversation, the cold call, the demanding project, the public speaking opportunity. Every time you avoid a challenge, you cast a vote for a smaller, more fearful version of yourself. You are teaching your nervous system that fear is a signal to retreat. A challenge protocol reverses this. It teaches your mind that the feeling of fear is the signal to advance. Early in my career, I was preparing for an investor pitch that could make or break my company. The pressure was immense. My natural instinct was to rehearse in a safe environment, to bury myself in spreadsheets and hope for the best. But I knew that a comfortable preparation would lead to a panicked performance. So I built a challenge protocol. For 1 week, I lived in voluntary discomfort. I started each day with an ice-cold shower to practice breathing and staying calm under physiological stress. I practiced my pitch not just to friendly faces, but to my most cynical and critical colleagues, instructing them to interrupt and tear my arguments apart. I even went to a local Toastmasters meeting and gave an unrelated speech just to get used to the feeling of being in front of a skeptical crowd. By the time the actual pitch arrived, I had already faced and overcome far greater psychological stress in my training. The real thing felt manageable, even easy by comparison. This is the essence of the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. The philosopher Seneca advised that we should regularly practice poverty and hardship, sleeping on the floor, eating simple food, not to be miserable but to rob these circumstances of their terror. When you have voluntarily faced a lesser version of your fears, the real thing loses its power over you. Your protocol should have different levels of intensity. Daily, a small comfort zone challenge. This could be that cold shower, or speaking up in a meeting when you'd normally stay silent, or making the phone call you've been dreading. Weekly, a growth zone challenge. This should be something that genuinely stretches you, like signing up to give a short presentation, taking a class in a skill that intimidates you, or having a deeply honest conversation about the future of a relationship. Monthly, a panic zone challenge. This is where you confront a significant fear. It could be attending a large networking event if you're an introvert, or pitching a bold new idea to the most intimidating executive in your company. By designing this protocol, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the strategist of your own growth. You are a warrior training for battle in times of peace. So, reflect on this. Where in your life are you consistently choosing comfort over growth? And what is one small, voluntary hardship you can undertake today to prepare for the inevitable, involuntary hardships of tomorrow? The third method is the internal operating system that runs everything else. All the competence and resilience in the world can be undone in an instant by a runaway negative internal narrative. A mindset reset is a disciplined, conscious procedure for reclaiming control of your perspective when you face a setback, a failure, or a wave of self-doubt. It is the practice of moving from an emotional reactor to a logical responder. Confidence is not the absence of negative thoughts, it is the ability to not be ruled by them. The untrained mind, when confronted with failure, immediately spirals. I lost the client quickly becomes I'm a terrible salesperson, which becomes I'm going to get fired, and finally, I'm a complete failure. This cascade of catastrophic thinking paralyzes you. A mindset reset is the circuit breaker. I worked with an executive, Maria, who was a brilliant strategist but would crumble after any perceived mistake. One quarter, her department missed its targets. Her immediate reaction was one of shame and panic. She was ready to apologize profusely to the board and slash her own budget for the next year. This was an emotional reaction. We implemented a mindset reset protocol. First, pause. Instead of immediately reacting, she took a 15-minute walk. No phone, no emails. The goal was to interrupt the emotional hijack of her brain. Second, isolate the objective fact. The fact was, the department's revenue was 10% below the projection. That's it. All the other thoughts, I failed, everyone is disappointed, my career is over, were stories, not facts. Third, apply the dichotomy of control. This is a core Stoic principle from Epictetus. We drew a line down a page. On one side, things I can't control, the market downturn, a competitor's surprise product launch, the board's initial emotional reaction. On the other side, things I can control, my analysis of what happened, my plan to address the shortfalls, how I communicate this plan to my team and the board, and the strategic adjustments we make for the next quarter. Fourth, redirect focus to action. Her entire energy shifted from ruminating on the uncontrollable past to architecting the controllable future. She went into that board meeting not with an apology, but with a clear-eyed analysis and a robust, actionable plan. She controlled the narrative because she had first controlled her own mind. You can integrate this into your daily life. Morning intention. Start your day by defining what is truly important and what you will focus your energy on. Remind yourself that external events do not have the power to disturb you. Only your judgment of them does. Evening. Reflection. Before you sleep, review the day not through the lens of success or failure, but through the lens of what you learned. Where did you act in accordance with your principles? Where did you let your reactions get the better of you? What will you do differently tomorrow? This isn't about self-criticism, it's about self-correction. This is the hard work. It's the moment-to-moment practice of seizing the helm of your own mind. When you face a setback, is your first instinct to react emotionally or to respond strategically? What is the story you tell yourself when things go wrong? And ask yourself honestly, does that story serve you? Your inner critic is a masterful lawyer. It can argue a compelling case for your inadequacy at a moment's notice, citing every mistake and misstep you've ever made. To defeat it, you can't rely on feelings or affirmations. You must become a better lawyer. You need to present cold, hard, irrefutable evidence of your competence, resilience, and growth. Method 4 is about systematically collecting this evidence in what I call a victory journal, or an evidence log. Confidence is a belief, and beliefs are built on evidence. The problem is that our brains are wired with a negativity bias. We ruminate on the one thing that went wrong while ignoring the 10 things that went right. An evidence log actively counteracts this bias. It is not an exercise in ego, it is an exercise in objective reality. It is a dossier you build for yourself that proves, beyond a reasonable doubt, that you are capable. After my burnout, my sense of self was shattered. My identity had been so intertwined with my business success that when it faltered, I felt I had nothing left. I saw myself as a fraud. A friend, who understood these principles, gave me a simple black notebook and a challenge. Every single night, before sleeping, I had to write down 3 pieces of evidence from the day. It felt ridiculous. On the first day, all I could muster was 1. Got out of bed. 2. Answered a difficult email. 3. Didn't fall apart. It felt pathetic, but I kept going. Slowly, the entries began to change. Handled a critical conversation with calm. Learned a new concept from a book and explained it to someone. Faced an old fear and didn't back down. After a month, I had nearly 100 entries. After 6 months, I had hundreds. Whenever that voice of doubt would whisper, "You can't handle this," I could literally open the book and say, "The evidence suggests otherwise." I had a written record of my own resilience. It wasn't a feeling, it was a fact. This is a powerful practice for anyone. A salesperson shouldn't just track their closed deals, but also the great conversations they had, the rapport they built, the tough objections they handled gracefully. A creative shouldn't just log finished projects, but the breakthrough ideas, the disciplined hours they put in, the moments they pushed through a creative block. Your log should include skills improved, practiced my presentation for 30 minutes and improved the opening. Challenges. Faced, had that difficult feedback conversation with a team member. Positive feedback. Received. John thanked me for my help on the report. Promises kept to yourself. I said I would go to the gym today, and I did. This isn't about grand, earth-shattering victories. It's about the small, consistent deposits of effort and integrity. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not for us, but for himself. It was his own evidence log, a way to remind himself of his principles and his progress. I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. First, is your self-assessment based on your most recent failure, or on the total body of your life's work and effort? Second, if you had to argue in a court of law that you are capable and resilient, what evidence would you present from the last 24 hours? Start collecting that evidence tonight. We have arrived at the final and most profound method. The 4 previous methods build the structure of your confidence. This final method is the soul of the building. True, unshakable confidence is not just about what you can do or what you have overcome, it is about who you are. Identity architecture is the conscious, deliberate process of defining the person you intend to become and then living in alignment with that identity, especially under pressure. When your actions flow from a deeply held identity, confidence becomes automatic. It is no longer something you have to turn on. It is simply the natural expression of who you believe yourself to be. You cease asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "What would the person I am committed to being do in this situation?" Think of it this way. A person who is trying to eat healthy has to use willpower for every decision. A person who identifies as a healthy person simply makes choices that align with that identity. It's not a struggle, it's just who they are. I once coached a business owner, a man named Thomas, who was a brilliant innovator but a timid leader. His team was talented but lacked discipline because he avoided conflict at all costs. He wanted to be more confident in holding his team accountable. Instead of giving him scripts for difficult conversations, we worked on his identity. I asked him, beyond being a CEO, who are you committed to being as a leader? After much reflection, he defined his new identity. I am a leader who builds elite teams by pursuing excellence with clarity and conviction. This became his North Star. His core values were excellence, clarity, and conviction. His non-negotiable standard was that the team's actions must align with those values. The next time a team member missed a deadline, he didn't have to psych himself up for a confrontation. He simply asked himself, what does a leader of excellence, clarity, and conviction do right now? The answer was clear. He has a direct, respectful conversation about standards and consequences. The action flowed effortlessly from the identity. He wasn't acting confident, he was being the person he had designed. Here is how you begin to architect your own iron mind identity. 1. Define your core values. What principles are non-negotiable for you? Integrity, discipline, courage, compassion? Choose 3 or 4 that will guide your actions. 2. Write your identity statement. Create a single sentence in the present tense that declares who you are. I am a disciplined creator who transforms ideas into reality. Or, I am a resilient problem solver who meets challenges with logic and calm. 3. Visualize this person. Spend a few minutes each morning closing your eyes and imagining this version of yourself. How do they walk? How do they speak? How do they handle a crisis? Feel what it feels like to be them. 4. Act in alignment. Throughout the day, use this identity as a filter for your decisions. When faced with a choice, ask, is this what a person of integrity, discipline, courage would do? The Stoics referred to their ideal, the sage, as a benchmark, a perfectly rational and virtuous human being. While they knew it was an unattainable ideal, it served as a powerful guide for their actions. Your architected identity is your personal sage. Who do you want to be in the face of challenge? And what are the non-negotiable principles of the person you are forging yourself to be? Write your identity statement down. This is the final blueprint for your inner citadel. These are the 5 methods: competence stacking, challenge protocols, mindset resets, evidence collection, and identity architecture. They are not quick fixes. They are a lifelong practice. Here is my challenge to you. Do not try to do all 5 at once. Choose one, the one that resonates with you most deeply, the one that you know you need the most, and for the next 7 days, commit to it. If you choose competence stacking, pick your skill and track your progress daily. If you choose challenge protocols, design your 7-day plan and execute it. Share which method you are choosing in the comments below. This is not just for me to see, it is for you. It is a declaration. It creates accountability. Find others in the comments who have chosen the same path and encourage one another. If you found value in this blueprint, subscribe for more strategies to build your iron mind. Like this video to help others find it, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. Remember, confidence is not a gift you are given. It is a fortress you build, stone by stone. Your iron mind awaits. Go to work.